Om Hello everyone, good morning. Thank you, welcome, and giving your company to do the regular Tibetan Buddhist Society's 11 o'clock calm abiding meditation followed by a talk. So good to have all of your company. So secure your space, no doubt, and your intention, and be as inclusive as possible for all the troubled world that is living in a very perilous situation. And so stillness is a very short supply, very agitated, very troubled, to the extent of waging wars. This is last thing the whole world needs after these two dreadful years of pandemic. So put your thoughts and prayers for all those who are killed and dying and fearful and insecure, running for life. All of this have no refuge in their own home. They have no choice but to run for life. So our practice of refuge is very much even more relevant when you really see, even in this life, they have no refuge in their own home, in their own land, their own country. There was complete freedom only weeks ago, days ago, and all of a sudden the rain of missile and bombs and all this falling everywhere. This is just a dark time the world is going through. So please be inclusive as we take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, Sangha, and may all those people who make decisions come to their senses and turn this terrible fear, put aside and make some peace and make all the trouble go away for those very distracted, agitated minds. So please include in your prayers for this with your refuge and bodhicitta motivation and loving kindness, compassion to all those who are wearing uniforms and have to run and shoot at the order of their, and even those who make the orders, and all these are really, really terribly insecure and troubled and angry and very, very troubled. So be inclusive of these prayers to all sentient beings, and then we do the meditation. How important it is to make peace and understand peace and be the peace, rather than try to see the peace as coming from somewhere else. So with this we will do the refuge prayer and 4 immeasurables before we do the meditation, and then we will do the meditation. I'll lead you in a few moments. We'll screen share the prayer for you. Join your hands, the heart, and we'll say the prayers. Oyenda Buddha Dhamma Sangha Aitere Vede Ladama Averche Ajeve Handala Ajare Adavadruve Endabo Dadarama Sangha Aitere Vede Ladama Averche Ajeve Handala Ajare Adavadruve Endabo Dadarama Sangha Aitere Vede Ladama Averche Ajeve Handala Ajare Adavadruve May all beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they know a powerful happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, or those involved. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they know a powerful happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, and those involved. May all beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never from the happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. So we'll do the meditation in 3 lots of 10 minutes. I'll use the gong to time those 3 slots. And you can choose the techniques yourself as you're very familiar with meditation. But overall, observe the 4 S. The stillness of your posture and your attention. And sincerity of your motivation. And serenity of your attention. Attention should be very clear, whatever object such as posture or qualified round breathing or super qualified round breathing, counting, all of that you need to do it serene without any dullness or agitation. Or if they are, gently learn to deal with them. And then with great sense of simplicity, just you're only minding to sit still and keep your attention focused on the chosen technique mindfully, being fully present in the inhalation, in the permeation, in the exhalation, in the scanning of the posture, straightening the back, whatever the technique you may use, or the counting in forward or counting reverse of the breath. So with this I will leave you to it today. So, thank you everybody being here today with this meditation and the talk here to follow. We announced this talk to be in an invitation to everybody to attend this retreat over the March Labor Day weekend in ACT and in Victoria in honor of Thich Nhat Hanh. We announced this before even the war broke out. We definitely knew there was something that Buddhist world and those who have been inspired by likes of Thich Nhat Hanh and his work to be not forgotten but commemorated in a very effective way because of how what he stood for and what the war in Vietnam transformed his life and how he dedicated his life to become an advocate of peace in the troubled world. And then and then this war broke out only this week. So we could not really time it more appropriately because people are not so present. Thich Nhat Hanh's message of how to be present, how to be mindful. His message reached so far and transcended all cultures and all religious and non-religious tradition, even interreligious traditions. He attracted people to the whole idea of what looks like the universal peace. His Holiness Dalai Lama advocates as a universal responsibility, and Thich Nhat Hanh advocates similar lines. And the reason I thought we will dedicate this retreat in honor of him is quite a few points. First is who he was. Second is the timing. Yeah. Third is also the place. And of course, and the fourth is why we need to do that. First of all is who Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh is and what his message is and how his actually approach of teaching the mindfulness practice in a very simple, even though he's very, very traditionally groomed as a Mahayanist Zen Buddhist monk in Vietnam, which is very much almost like similar to Tibetan Buddhism. So much ritual, so much traditions, and almost they wouldn't go out of that box. And if you go to any Vietnamese temples, you see everything they do in Vietnamese. There's hardly any English-speaking teachers. Even they do, it's all about that kind of model practice. But Thich Nhat Hanh, after he realized how much this message of peace is lacking and needed in the world, he advocated and championed how to be simply mindful. And his approach was very simple, very profound, and those who really could get him, it actually broke all the boundaries. What I call modern therapists tell their clients to build boundaries. So his message just penetrated through the walls that people built. The people's whether interpersonal difficulties or whatever they have, they need to learn how to come back to themselves, being present, and come to the simple technique of mindfulness meditation. And he really stood very, very still, and he was noticed by lots of people in the world. From the very people in a high position to the very ordinary. And he attracted many, many people. He may have not the same kind of standing as His Holiness Dalai Lama, but probably his message and his technique probably reached many, many more people even Dalai Lama would have not reached because of his simplicity of the message of mindfulness, and then promoting the peace that the world is so much lacking. And so, of course, all his life, since he went into exile, lived overseas, and eventually in France and created a plum village, simply named after, not named after fancy deities or some paradise, like the other Buddhists would call this, and then named after some Buddhist paradise or fancy deities or very long names, but nobody can remember. Plum village, simple as that. The reason was because the place that they started building their place of meditation was all full of plum trees. And it still is a plum village, and he kept it very, 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 very simple. I think it's the simplicity of Thich Nhat Hanh's methods that actually sort of made most people so easy to relate to his method. And peace is also, in that regards, is very simple. You just drop the aggression, drop the war, and see the causes of all the war and fighting is greed, hatred, and ignorance. You can see that. And only say, look at the Ukraine. It was only 31 years ago. It celebrated gaining independence. Do you remember? In 1991, I remember when I was finishing my honors degree in ANU, I couldn't believe how the world just erupted. and people celebrated, and now after just barely 31 years later, and now the place is completely a war zone. It's just unrecognizable. It's uncertainty because of the greed, because of just not being able to accept each other, be simply treating each other as a fellow human beings, and live in peace and accept each other. They look so alike, and they don't look, even color of the skin don't look different. If you tell the Ukrainians that you look like Russian, of course they don't like it. I did the mistake one day to a Ukrainian family, and I said, you look very Russian. They said, don't you say that to me. They really hate the Russians. You have no idea. All this prejudice is completely caused by us versus them. It's amazing how much of the lack of friendliness and peace is because of who am I and who they are not. And as a result of this extraordinary length of waging this much war machine to just another neighbor is so ludicrous. In 21st century, people actually should really come to their senses that there is no place for war of any kind. And all those powerful nations joined as becoming member of United Nations, and all of the purpose of joining was to bring in peace, try to end wars, try to make peace there. And these are the very permanent members of the UN, and they are the one who is waging wars to next door neighbor. It's just unthinkable. Now, reason I say this is, Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh's message was this very method of how to make peace with each other and not to bring war, and that's why he got really noticed very early when he went to America, and he campaigned for peace in Vietnam and all of that. That time he was more like an activist, more like an activist. Even in Vietnam, he started his kind of idea of that as engaged Buddhism, as a peace wasn't sort of as peace wasn't going to come from passivity and inactivity, but you have to be a bit more engaged. So he engaged himself, going out of the comfort zone of traditional model, and gone and spoke in the language that all humanity could really listen and pay heed to him, and then radiate the message, and without people thinking they have to change religion. Even before His Holiness Dalai Lama, others talk about going beyond religion and all of that. Thich Nhat Hanh was already doing that. Thich Nhat Hanh was actually doing that before this, beyond the religion, all these things came out, beyond secular Buddhism, all these things, terms came only say the last 20, 30 years. Thich Nhat Hanh was doing those work right before, without coining any fanciful words. He just a simple mindfulness. Simple mindfulness bring peace. And so therefore I was noticing this very, very clearly as a Tibetan, how effective his amazing, a very simple Buddhist monk. Exactly. His Holiness Dalai Lama even calls himself simple Buddhist monk. He's not that simple, we know that. His position and and his standing and his status and all those things. Whereas Thich Nhat Hanh is definitely simple monk. He's really definitely simple monk. Simple in the sense he didn't coin any fanciful terms like going beyond religion or secular Buddhism or Buddhism without boundary, all of that. But he simply called it engaged Buddhism. Engaged Buddhism was the term that he coined. But when you really look at his teachings, when you listen to any of his teachings, this message comes out very clearly. It has transcended many people. So therefore, when people attend Thich Nhat Hanh's retreats or his Sangha, he has quite happy Christians and quite people of other religious denomination completely practicing together as fellow human beings and do simple mindfulness, silent meditation, walking meditation without people having to change religion. He even said people can visualize or invite Mother Mary or Christ or whatever in the meditation. So he was really, really advocating transcending the cultures, language, and religion, but simply advocating humanity and peace. And not only that, as I mentioned, that he also went as far as his monks and nuns are very, very simple, very, very disciplined. But they have no hesitation to sing, play music, and they chant a lot of the Buddhist dharanis and prayers. The whole kind of orchestra comes, all the monks and nuns do that simply to promote peace. Whereas the traditional Buddhists, you can't do this, you shouldn't play music, you shouldn't sing, all of that. So he realized that we got to be engaged Buddhist in a humanistic way to promote much more people than it actually attracts. So I think that message, His Holiness Dalai Lama later on, as he used the word like universal responsibility and Buddhism, religion, secular Buddhism or all those terms what came out, but a work of this simple nature was already happening through the teachings of Thich Nhat Hanh. So that's why I thought why we need to honor him in this world of great division and crisis is even more important, so that these divisions on the basis of ethnicity, language, religion, culture, and all this division has to be transcended by cherishing peace and advocating humanity. So that's one of the things. Another is the timing. Timing is that, of course, Thich Nhat Hanh lived 95 years, which is very, very amazing long life. I mean, and his long life would have come from no ordinary merit than his really amazing work of peace and humanity, and how many people have been benefited from that. And so I saw when he's passing away, as well as quite a few other religious figures, Buddhist leaders are passing away recent years. You see, the world is definitely going through a huge transition, and simple messages of peace and humanity need to be advocated rather than championing one's own set of religion or tradition as if that's the only one that's going to sort of create the world. I mean, even the political ideologies are very religiously divisive. So we don't need another political or religious ideology to divide the very small world. The world has become so much smaller. So it's very important to advocate the messages of peace and humanity by that is quite that is propagated by likes of Thich Nhat Hanh, particularly not only to commemorate him, because there will be no doubt he has been saying, oh, don't build a stupa in my name, don't put my ashes in the and so he's very, very, again, he doesn't want to be in the box or even in a stupa. So that's what I mean. He didn't want to be in a box of most Buddhists would always, they will sort of sweep every single piece of the ashes of the from the funeral pyre and put them in a golden urn and seal it, and then and then he said, don't ever do that. Don't let anybody put his ashes in a stupa or in anything like that. But he said, please strew around or something like that. So that shows that so there is a message that he really wants people to take very noticeably, not only by his direct students, no doubt they will do, but those of us who have actually interestedly seen his work. I have actually met him once in 1987 in Sydney at a conference called A Strategy of Peace. So he was actually there as one of the speakers, and it was one of my first kind of opportunity to come on stage with anyone significant like him. And so even those days, he was always, this is really, really early, when we're talking of 87, that's a quite long time ago. And he was honored by Sydney University to preside over a conference called Strategy for Peace. So he was really right in the forefront from the very beginning. And now in this February 2022, we see this terrible war. I mean, there have never been this bad war since, and this looks like it's going to really. So therefore, it's important timing to promote this message of peace, but how everyone should come together and learn to remain still and present, and how we can bring people together and not to become wavered by the greed or their bias towards this or anger towards someone who we think is the perpetrator of the war, and this can cause more division. Even those who are not taking arms, but they're already having wars of thought. Ideologically, we are all fighting. Oh, he shouldn't have done this one. So we are actually having some kind of our own share of war in our mind. So instead of contributing to this very conflict in the world ideologically, we need to all drop those differences and learn to honor likes of Thich Nhat Hanh. And so we're going to mainly do the retreat by looking at some fundamental teachings of Thich Nhat Hanh and do simple silent and walking meditation, inviting all. And usually we do this retreat anyway on that weekend, and this might be our last because SIBA is on the market, and right now in a very good form to hold those retreats. And so we've been inviting few old people who used to live there, work there. Even Jampal and his family are able to join, and so we're going to invite everyone who is able to join for that retreat. Whether you are able to take all 3 days, or even if you cannot do for a whole day, or maybe even just one day, it would be good to. So we're going to create a program to invite a wide range of people if they know. And also, why at SIBA? Because SIBA is a very much secluded and a peaceful. It's another plum village. I don't know whether it's Plum Village or Gum Tree Village. I think we are Gum Tree Village. We call it Fortunate Forks. We have Fortunate Forks, which is herd of sheep that we saved, rescued from being slaughtering. And there are only 20 of them are there because most of them have died because they don't live long. So since we rescued them all in 2006 and bought from Fred, and so they have the only few of them, or maybe less than 20 of them left there, and and some people have not actually been to our retreat center, you know, and those who know our retreats who've been there, they really wish we don't have to sell, and also we wish the same too. But all things are impermanent, you know. So so we it looks like we have no choice but to pass over to whoever going to come and buy it. Yet right now we are still not quite got the right buyer yet, because this is too special a place. Not everybody who wanted to buy a place can, firstly, afford to buy. Secondly, a little bit too big and very, very spacious. So all of you can please spread this word around on that 3-day retreat. And of course, the retreat is the place is far into the Gippsland, East Gippsland near Buchan Place, and we're going to put a link to the this to it for people who haven't seen the place, because the real estate agent put a 2-minute video showing the whole venue very clearly, so people can see how just being in that environment is very peaceful in the forest. And particularly this year, because of this rain, everything is so green and so lush. And the current coordinator and the few people there, they have really kept a very immaculate shape. And also we have the local neighbor who is a chef, so he's going to do all the chef. So, and we only need few volunteers to help around. So some of your friends might be able in a position to volunteer. So maybe you can recommend them to go and write to us, because we do need few people to help as well. And so that's why the place is very special. And the occasion is Labor Day. Is it Labor Day? And most people have terrible time over the last 2 years not being able to go anywhere, not being able to do any retreat. Now, this is a 3-day retreat, and we are all well earned. All the restrictions are scrapped, thank goodness. But of course, we still have only limited number of people can accommodate, unless people want to do camping or so, because because of that, we were going to sort of promote this weekend retreat in honor of Thich Nhat Hanh, and we will focus on some of his fundamental teachings, and I'm sure, because they are all very, 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 very same as what we usually promote in calm abiding, but maybe his method of meditation is even simpler than the techniques we teach. So therefore, because in the old days, sometimes we don't remember. Our memory is very short. We just hear about some teachers and we don't know the details, because people hardly honor or commemorate, dedicate. And they forget, some people say, oh, Nagarjuna, he lived 600 years. So great. because their memory about him is very thin. So people, to edify Nagarjuna, they made him to live 600 years, even though probably did no more than 660, sorry. And so we want to really advocate living teachers who made valid contribution to the humanity, and then try to promote his messages of really genuine, peaceful message of the Buddha, that Thich Nhat Hanh and His Holiness Dalai Lama. These are the two very amazing figures. I'm sure there are many teachers too, but they have been amazingly effective spokesperson and leadership in this field. And our world, people always think of Buddhists as a peaceful people. And just by knowing about Dharma a little bit, about reading anything, people actually think of that. But to have some figures like them who have actually promoted that in their whole life, and very loudly and clearly, but Vietnamese themselves and Thich Nhat Hanh's group, I don't know how much propagating propagating they do. They don't, usually don't. The Thich Nhat Hanh hardly came to Australia last 15 years. I didn't see him at all. So maybe some of his groups are here and there, so I mean, of course they will honor him and so on. But then how do you honor him? Because he has made very clear guidelines. How should he not be honored, like making him a mausoleum or statue or a stupa? How do you really honor? Even statues is supposedly honoring the mind of the Buddha. So what was the thinking and the teaching of Thich Nhat Hanh that need to be revived, that need to be sort of retold to people, and then start practicing this in the time of a great crisis the world is actually facing. So that's why the honoring Thich Nhat Hanh, because he's a peace advocate, in this great time of great crisis the world is facing, and at a time when people can take the opportunity to go to the bush or somewhere quiet and peaceful, and doing this retreat would be a nice break from all the lockdown people have been facing. So that's why we have organized this retreat in honor of Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh. So all of you, of course, may or may not have met him. But if you have, of course, you have even more reason to see. Even if you haven't met, maybe if you have heard some of his works and things like that, it's really, really inspiring to look into some of his thoughts and his approaches, how he touched and transcended the boundaries and affected thousands and thousands of people in the world. And so therefore it's good to not to have just one ceremony where people come and clap hands and have a tea party and go home type of thing. It's not like that. Actually, what was this man's legacy? Can we just do a retreat in his honor? Remember his teachings, watch some of his main teachings, and practice some of the simple mindfulness, silent walking meditation in the bush, and maybe plum village in the gum tree village in East Gippsland. So that I thought that would be a very nice way to honor him. We have been doing the Labor Day 3-day retreat in SIBA anyway all these years. So except last 2 years we haven't been able to do. So we've been having the substitute online. But this year we're going to do that's probably going to be a last retreat there of this retreat, because we hope to sell the place. We thought White Tara retreat, which we did in January, would be last, but that didn't quite become last, and quite a lot of people didn't dare to show up because they thought all the panic, all the fear of pandemic didn't. But now that all those fears has been sort of somewhat released, because all the restrictions have eased, even social distancing is scrapped, and so on. So the world really needs to open up, and being able to see each other in a retreat like that would be good. So thank you everybody for joining me this morning in this meditation and talk, and Thich Nhat Hanh's teaching and works will be greatly be the center feature of that retreat. So thank you for your joining, and let's do the dedication merit. Take a couple of moments to think of the world and dedicate the little merit we may have cultivated from this effort, so that the world may come to its senses, and those people who are making decisions actually learn to to maybe make a turnaround and see the futility and mutual destruction the war is causing, and stop that, and start going to make some kind of peaceful strategy in order to bring some resolution, and so that this world, the fire like the war, does not spread any further, and then that we have seen only in the last 3 days. So thank you very much. Let's do the dedication as we do the screen sharing of the prayers. Thank you, everybody. Oh, Bades Mere Mehavaragam Dadefa Menzangam Neze Mehale Baradabe from the ocean of Badodesed Erenda Mahayana Jijin Vadeva Meredaya Vakra Mehobi Because Deleveza Tuhoda Mahayana Jijin Courage Manju Shinyo Wade Azama Tabadadela Walovin Avadezam Aisha de Duke Ode Mere Mede Selem Bodi Jida Tebe Edenoyadanza where has been born really with the generation. Yeah. Will they see?
Zoom will.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll show you the 2-minute video about SIBA, because the Zoom audience will see this. Some of you may have not watched this, but really nice. Have a look.
Hi, I'm Chris Howard from King and Heath First National in Lakes Entrance, and we're delighted to be offering SIBA Retreat Centre to the market. A spectacular and serene lifestyle retreat located near Buchan and the Snowy Mountains National Park. Set on an impressive 108 acres, SIBA is blessed with stunning mountain views, cultivated paddocks, intimate gardens and extensive natural forest. This peaceful, nurturing oasis is home to an abundance of wildlife and is the perfect venue for yoga and meditation retreats, well-being programs, outdoor education camps and horse riding. Originally developed as a healing retreat, the property is home to an array of buildings which can accommodate a variety of guests and has recently been operating as a popular Airbnb. The main building features a gently curved roof reflective of the undulating surrounds. Inside has a large dining hall where guests can gather for meals and also relax and socialise around a cosy wood fire under a bespoke geodesic dome. The dining hall is serviced by a commercial kitchen with a large cool room and pantry. There is also a large yoga or meditation hall, and a huge wraparound balcony offers guests panoramic views over the ranges. The main building also houses a private residential space, including a lounge and large bedroom with ensuite, perfect for a living operator. The property has an abundance of accommodation dwellings, including 16 motel rooms, each with their own ensuite, a 2-bedroom cottage, and 5 secluded cabins. All this is complemented by other facilities, including a stunning hexagonal yoga room with clerestory windows bringing light and nature into this space, a small library or massage room peacefully located in the garden surrounds, an amenities block with laundry suitable for campers, and the Golden House, a large 200-seat hall which potentially could be transformed into another residence using the existing bathroom, kitchen, 2 bedrooms and a spacious open plan area. 4 dams on site offer an abundance of water. And lovers of all things food will be impressed by the extensive organic gardens, huge orchard, kitchen herb garden and hothouse, offering the potential for new owners to host organic food, cooking and agricultural programs. This incredible property has so much to offer, so don't miss this opportunity to own your own lifestyle retreat. To register your interest, contact King and Heath First National today or visit kingheath.com.au.
CT homeowners are getting paid to...
Thank you, everyone.